Bonjour, everyone. Hi, this is Neshi Lokotz. Welcome to Communications from Home. This is my weekly video for Star Nations, and this week is all about our value. And in my last week's show, when I was talking about our shadow self, there was something I mentioned at the very end of the show, and that was about how we see ourselves, how we measure our value, and that there is a major shift, right, in our thinking and what that means for our soul growth. So this week, what I'd like to do is expand on that just a bit. As I was thinking about things and what was shared and all the input from Star Nation's community was really valuable, and thinking about the value of everything, right, of ourselves, valuing even our shadow selves as we see ourselves as a whole being. Okay, so here's the thing is I started remembering things that I've read, experiences that I've had, especially recently. And I have to share this with you. I had to go back and check my library because I knew I read a book like around 2009 or so, 2010, it's called Soul Currency, and about value and how we see ourselves in our definitions of what is our success, what is our value, and how that was shifting. And that was back then. And this is the book I'm referring to. It's Soul Currency by Ernest D. Chu. I think the copyright is 2008. So it's investing your inner wealth for fulfillment and abundance. And as I was going through the book again, preparing for this show, I realized that something that we've all done as a collective in the last year or two, maybe even 3, okay? And that is slowing down. COVID did that for us, right? We had to be at home. We started reassessing. We started going through, who am I? What do I want to do? Where do I want to be? And lots of people have been making lots of big changes, even little changes to their lives and what they're doing with their life. All of us, right? Especially here at Star Nations. We've been talking about that a lot. And I wanted to say, I'm not any different, right? Because this has been my journey of recalibrating. And so as we consider shifting our thinking, our mindset, about how we define self-worth, right? And if we see ourselves as a spirit having this physical experience, and really truly shifting that consciousness to I am my soul, right? And so how do we see ourselves? How do we feel ourselves? How do we define our value? And I wanted to read something to you because it was out of this book that Dr. Chu was talking about. And what is soul currency? The term soul currency has 2 meanings, he says. First, it's a medium for exchanging value. Like money, soul currency can be shared, traded, donated, and invested. But unlike money, it is not a symbolic object. It is a spiritual energy that resides in everyone. The second, just as the word current refers to streaming movements of air, water, or electricity, soul currency describes the circulation of the God or creative force through our lives. Okay. So in my last show, we were talking about our gifts, right? And that our shadow self can actually help us, give us hints, and helping us to understand ourselves much better, right? Uncovering sometimes the blocks to our gifts. All right, so here's the thing that I'm inviting you to consider is redefining for yourself what your value is. What is your soul currency? It's going to help us, I think, make those kind of decisions of Which direction should we go in? How do we use our gifts to the best of our abilities? Right. And I know some people ask me they ask me, I don't even know what my gifts are. What are my gifts? How do I know it's a gift? And here's the thing is that our gifts is something that makes us feel happy, that we enjoy doing them. All right. And some of them, are tangible, like drum making. I enjoy drum making. It's a gift. Another gift that I have, I know, and I've shared with this one with you for several times actually, and that is, seeing patterns and connecting the dots, kind of thing. That's one of my other gifts, one of my many other gifts. And when we're talking about making that shift in consciousness, I do believe that anything and everything that we've experienced up to this point is aiding us in that. All right, so everything that we've read, every class that we've attended, every person we've talked to, everything leads us to this moment. And that's why I had to go back and take another look at this book, because there was things in my memory that were kind of coming to the surface, right? And that I'd read about this stuff way back when. And so maybe there's something in your library. Maybe there's something in one of your journals. Maybe there's something that you had filter through and bring you some information or an experience that's going to be helpful to you today, so that you can move through those shifts and those changes. Okay, so there's another piece in here that I thought was really, here it is. It says that spirit is unlimited. We already know that, right? We already know that. And he also says that the creative source of energy, love, is constantly circulating between the invisible realm of spirit and the visible realm of matter. It is in the common denominator underlying everything, your finances and your fulfillment. As you invest your spiritual assets in your relationships and your endeavors, the ways you open to the flow of love in your life will increase. And here's something that we already know, right? Is that we are constantly surrounded and filled with love every single day. Universal energy coming down through our crystalline tube and up through the crystalline tube. The universal energy is already at the frequency of love, already there. And it flows through us and around us every single day, every single moment. And so when we tap into that love and using our gifts, we can create the kind of world that we want, right? And it's that remembering how love is the emotion, the feeling, that is the energy that catapults our wants and our desires, our creativity, our manifesting, if you will, into the physical world, right? So what is your soul currency? How do you see yourselves? How do you see the value that you have to offer others and yourself, right? All right, and here's another one that I was going to share. Let's see. I kind of marked everything. So, soul currency, a force that is real, not imaginary, is inexhaustible, immensely alive, and intangibly organic. Okay? So, we all have it. We all have it. We just have to identify what it is that of our gifts and how we value them, how we value ourselves. And it is that change, that shift in consciousness that will help us lead us to our next experience, right? And our next experience for me is all about soul growth. And it's also enjoying our life right here, right now. So I wanted to share that with you, and also to have a conversation about that, right? Well, what do you see? How do you feel about your value? What do you see as your value? What are your gifts? How do you use those to create the kind of life that you want here? Yeah. It's one of those philosophical questions in a way, right? But there's also another piece to it, and that is how we remember our gifts, because we came in with them. We came in with them, and we've been using them ever since. Sometimes it's done consciously, sometimes it's done unconsciously or subconsciously. But one of the rules of thumb for me is that I know when I'm using one of my gifts is because I feel so good. I feel happy. There's a sense of completeness to it, right? Yeah. Here's another thing that kind of floated in while I was taking a second look at this book. And it's one of the things about remembering, right? How to create. And in that creation process that I teach through, it's about the awakening the illuminated heart. And one of the ways that we create is with the balance of our mind and our hearts. And when we're doing that kind of creating, we're creating from the unified field, when we're creating from our hearts. And we have that balance. We're connecting the mind and the heart. And how that begins is with dreaming. It doesn't begin with our list of pros and cons. It doesn't start out with thought necessarily. Okay, it starts with dreaming. We may have this idea, and so we try it on, right? So we start daydreaming about it. We start dreaming about it, and we start. What would it feel like if I was doing writing or doing live streams or anything like that? And we start kind of daydreaming about it, right? And daydreaming is a part of the remembering process and how to create. Many times we will actually program our evening dreams about it, right? Yeah. So daydreaming is like trying it on, seeing if it fits, and we start altering the daydream. Oh, that feels better, or no, not that one. Right? We start fine tuning it. We start fine tuning it, and when we hit on, yeah, that's it. That feels really good, and it makes us feel happy, so that we can start manifesting whatever that is. So what I'm saying with this is that our value, how we value ourselves and our gifts, can start shifting and changing too. Sometimes they become much clearer. And other times you realize, like, oh my God, I've been doing this all along and didn't realize that this is it. Okay? All right. So this show is all about, what is your value? How do you value yourself? How do you value your gifts? Are you experiencing any shifts or changes with that? Is it coming with clarity? Right? Are you realizing something that you hadn't realized before? And knowing that it comes from a place of love means that, it's got that sense of being of service. Many of us here at Star Nations, that's one of the things that we have in common, no matter what our backgrounds are, no matter what our religious or philosophical beliefs are, because we're pretty eclectic here. And it is about how we value ourselves. It is about that, and that shifting and the changing. There's one axiom in feng shui, right? In feng shui is that energy is constantly moving and constantly changing, and we're energy. So we're meant to change. We're meant to shift. We just have to decide in what direction do we want to do this. And many of us have spent months and months considering this. considering this. Lots of people have changed jobs, have left jobs that they've had for years because they knew they weren't happy there. And because of the quarantine time and lockdown time and spending time alone or time with family, they're realizing what's important in their lives and have made that shift or making that shift. So I am so happy to be able to share this little bit with you and to have some time to share this and offer the invitation, to identify your value, right? How do you value your gifts? How do you value you, your soul? I am my soul, right? I am my soul. Okay, so Paul and I, we are out having fun. We're in the RV. We call it George's Casita. George's little house. George is our puppy, and so we're having some fun, and I hope you are too, and enjoying this hot summer weather. And I'll see you next week, which is, are we then in August? Yeah, we are. August 3rd, Tuesday, August 3rd. I'll be seeing you live streaming communications from home. And until then, Bama Mina, that's Potawatomi for until we see each other again. I love you guys. Enjoy your week.